When you walk out of here, I want you to learn something, but actually enjoy what you have been learning, right? So if you are interested in actually joining the class, because we do have a classroom outside of TikTok, this is how this class works. Um, on TikTok, we are on both TikTok and YouTube going live. So to get your syllabus so you can know where we are, just click the link in our bio, go to student registration, click on that, fill out the registration, and you'll automatically get our syllabus. Our syllabus will let you know what we're talking about, the structure in which we're talking about, and what we're going to be talking about for that day. Class is every Tuesday, right, at 5:30. At this moment, we're in class. Okay. Now, if you want to get like the replays, or you want to get a certificate of completion, if you want a deep dive, if you want to get homework assignments and little pop quizzes and like a full course with a book, a course curriculum book, and course curriculum book, classroom access, full discussions where you can have a conversation with me and other students that are in the class. You can click on the button at the end of your syllabus that gives you access to the class. That comes at $35. That $35 covers you for about 12 weeks. So the first 6 weeks is the class, and then the next 6 weeks is we dive in together collectively in a book club. So it's a beautiful merge for about 12 weeks, which is, I think, is awesome. So if you're interested in joining the class in that way, shape, or form, go ahead, click the link in our bio. It's not required. You can join us every Tuesday and join in the class and learn. That's absolutely free. So if you have your book, if you have your your notebook and your pen and your paper, we about to get started. In 1 minute, one day, 1 minute also. In any case, have fun. Ask all the questions that you like. Again, I used to be a full school teacher. I taught fourth graders and second graders and kinders. So there's no question that's ever dumb or stupid. Feel free to ask them. Just give me a second, and I promise you I will answer them as quickly as possible as in relation to this. Okay. So let me get my paperwork up and ready to go, and we can get started. Week 1. This is a full 6-week course. We are on week 1, and we are going to talk about today our learning objectives for week 1. That's week 4. Our learning objectives for week 1 is the introduction of generational trauma. What is it? The learning objectives, we're going to talk about the definition of generational trauma, and then we're going to talk about understanding how trauma is passed on through families, which is what I do. I share this information with you guys freely because this is my life, my livelihood. And then we recognize the signs of generational trauma in your own life. Okay. The brief instruction, a brief introduction to the course. This entire course, again, like I said before, is a 6-week course. Each week we talk about different formats, and each week you get a homework assignment. That homework assignment can be found within our classroom. The classroom can be found, the link in our bio. Just click on the link in our bio, register for the class. Your first assignment is already given to you. You all have access to that, and you just add to discussion. So that is the foundation of our class. Again, my name is NaKeesha. I am your professor. I have an MBA in business administration. Again, I used to teach second and fourth graders and kinders as my actual job. I am a certified belief worker, aka theta healer, where I help people heal metaphysically generational traumas in their lives, where I find out what the root is and I pluck them out. And what I have done is I combined all of those things in who I am to create this course specifically for you. And I enjoy doing what I do. So I hope you guys get a chance to stay and we learn something. Student instructions, optional share. If you guys are here and you want to start chiming in, your engagement is very, very much welcomed. I would love for you guys to share with me where you're from, what state, what city, either one or both. what state you're from, what city you're from, what part of the world you're in. Because we had some people from France, and we got a couple of people from Holland. We got people from Germany, from all over around the world. Oh, okay, Akron, Ohio. Let's go. Let's go. Midwest. How you doing? I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada. I am originally from Michigan, and that's where I am right now. But that's going to be changing soon. Yes, I love it. Midwest love right here. Welcome in. And what do you expect from this class, or what brought you, or what made you interested in coming to this class today? I've been doing a lot of talking, so yeah, we're gonna have fun. Hey, hey, Chanel, how are you? Anybody else want to chime in? Feel free. Hi, welcome to class. If I'm coming across your FYP, I hope that's a good thing. We are in class, and we're doing like a nice little introduction. Working through trauma, wanted to understand it more. That is fair. I love that. Welcome in. That's understandable. But yeah, let's just dive on in. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna ask y'all questions as we go, and we're gonna just start working because Miss Birdie is awake. We gonna talk, baby. For all those who are here, please feel free to engage because I don't want you not to get the fullness of this class that we have to offer. So let's dive in. What is generational trauma? What is that? What is generational trauma? For me, a lot of people don't know the difference because we've been ostracizing and over analyzing the word or the phrase generational curses, right? I know when I was a little girl and I was in church because I'm a church kid. Well, many of the people would say, "Oh, you're the generational church, you're the generational curse breaker in your family," and it was just like some mystical honor that you had, or this badge of honor that you have to break these generational curses. For me personally, I don't believe in the word curse, and that's because it gives more weight to something that is very simple. Generational curses and generational traumas are pretty much one and the same. No. Yeah, you're going back outside. That's my son. I have a 4-year-old. What did I say? I'm not doing this. He's 4. We're working on that. In any case, generational trauma and generational curses are one and the same. When it comes down to generational trauma, it is a belief that has been passed on from generation to generation. As I talked about in the webinar, Birdie, have you gotten a chance to check out the webinar yet? Hey, Jan. Welcome in, everyone. Because if not, then I can break all of that down really quick. Okay, cool. Okay, so in the webinar, and I would love for you to sign up for the course so you can get access to the webinar, because then it'll give you the foundation of what I'm about to talk about. But I'm going to break it down really, really simple, right? When it comes down to generational traumas, they're actually belief systems that have been passed on from you from generation to generation. And these beliefs are generational curses, right? These beliefs can be associated to health disease, mental health issues. All of these things can be associated to some type of generational trauma that has been given to you. There are 4 beliefs in all human beings. The first one is your core belief. This is your actual free will. When it comes down to who you are as an individual, your free will only represents about 12% of your actual brain. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. And what ends up happening is that 12% of your brain is fighting against 88% of your brain. The 88% of your brain is your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind contains your genetic beliefs, which is what has been given to you from your family members, right? And then your historical beliefs, these are the traditions in which your family members had to live through. Like right now, we can see all of those laws that were placed during the time of our forefathers, our grandmothers, our great grandmothers, our great 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 grandmothers, and all of them great grandfathers, all of our great greats, right? We're watching everything that they worked through these last 150 years being dismantled right in our faces, right? We're watching this happen, right? And all of those years that those the 125 to 150 years of our great grandparents' hard work being dismantled in front of our faces, what we're actually looking at right now is the generational foundation in which our families had to live through. These are traditions in which our families had to live through, and because of these traditions, those traditions have been passed on to you as an individual, right? Subconsciously. I hope this is kind of really making sense. I really do. Um, so this is what is happening to you when it comes down to generational trauma. And then you also have your souls. Your soul belief is your fourth belief. This is also locked in at 88% of your subconscious mind, right? Your soul has been here several times before. When people talk about soul reincarnation, I strongly believe that is true. There's too many evidence saying that it is true. What happens is you end up passing away, your soul ends up passing away, but before your soul crosses over, there's a belief. And for me, one of my soul's belief was not to have a family anymore because my soul watched this entire family get unalived in front of them, right? So these things are all of the makeup of who you are as a person. And again, what I told you before, you only have 12% of that belief. That's how much you control. That is your free will. And every time when you look at your life, yes, looking at it in our history and seeing it still exists in modern day is a bit much. Exactly. Exactly. And thank you so much, uh, Barbu Jinowadama. Thank you so much. I hope I did not butcher that. Welcome to the tribe. Thank you for the share because this is very important. I really I can't reach everybody, but I hope my goal is to reach all of the people that I can. Right. When it comes down to the history that we're seeing right now, the goal is to trigger you, not to trigger your 12%. No, that's your free will, but to trigger that 88% because that's subconscious, right? That 88% of the subconscious that is found within you, that 88% is on autopilot. You really don't know what's happening in your subconscious. You really don't know the struggle in which your family, who makes up who you are, went through to get you here because it's embedded in your subconscious. In the webinar, what I talk about in the your first assignment in the webinar, I talk about there's 62 people that are locked inside of your DNA. And I break down how those 62 people are created. Like you have your grandma, you have your mom, your dad. They help to make you. Then your grandparents, both set, help to make up your mom and dad, and then they help to make you. Then you have your great great grandparents, and it keeps going, and it comes down to 62 people, right? That's about 5 to 6 generations back. That all create you, wrapped up in your DNA. Their experiences is a part of you. You can't deviate from that, right? And then again, you have your whole soul. Your soul has had several lives before it came and to be a part of you. So there's more stuff that's locked inside of you. And all of these things come together to create those generational ideas, including generational trauma. When it comes down to your epigenetics, epigenetics is the study of the characteristics. No one talks about this. They act like it's one ancestor. They trace it all the way back. I talk about it. Welcome to class, reverse edition. That's what I talk about. This is what I enjoy doing. I enjoy doing these things. I talk about the things that nobody wants to talk about because, and I don't think that people don't want to talk doing these things. I talk about the things that nobody wants to talk about because, and I don't think that people don't want to talk. Like, wait a minute, we're missing the main point, right? We got to go to the root of the issue. The root is this. Like the genealogy tree is upside down. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It is. but we don't know how to dive deep inside of it, right? And so what I do with the generational trauma is I'm helping people dive inside that and actually looking at the things that they've been going through. As I stated before, when it comes down to generational trauma can be linked to mental illnesses, right? Generational traumas can also be linked to generational medical conditions and even current medical conditions, right? And if we don't address those things and we don't look at it and actually take the rug, like pull the rug from beneath the dirt that your grandma been sweeping underneath and the dirt that your mama been sweeping underneath and the stuff that your great grandparents been sweeping underneath, right? It's a bunch of big old dirt that everybody just keeps want to walk around and not like lift it up and like, okay, can we just address this? Like the elephant is bigger in the room. Let's like really look at it, right? That's what I do. Oh, thank you. Feel free to go to the link in our bio, click on student registration. If you're interested, I do have a replay of this class. And if you miss it, it's $35 for the whole 6 weeks. You can go and click on it and you get some more time. Uh huh. 000 is default 000. Okay. Yep. But just click on the link in our bio. And when you click on the link in the bio, go to student registration. It's $35 for full classroom access. You can join the discussion and just have a fun time with us and have assignments. But yeah, if you missed this week, it's okay. We have recaps. But thank you. But like I was saying, when it comes down to generational trauma, we keep sweeping it under the rug and sweeping it under the rug. And then the more we sweep it under the rug, we leave it there because we end up passing away and we don't really look at it until it's almost time for us to pass away, right? And then we end up passing these traumas on to our family members, passing these traumas on to our friends' kids, the people we have interacted with. We end up just spilling all of this stuff on them and giving them, instead of the inheritance of freedom, what we have been doing is we've been giving them the inheritance of fix this mess, right? Fix this trauma because I ran out of time. And we don't, I know personally, I don't want to live like that anymore because this is a reflection of what we are seeing even now in our world today. We have had so many people who have been fighting on our behalf when it comes down to our ancestors and our family members and all of the people who fought before us. And now we're looking at these goofballs who are in power right now. I want to say something else. We're looking at these goofballs that are in power right now, and they are dismantling everything because they didn't take out the time to fix their generational traumas that they have to, right? So if we personally within ourselves can fix our own generational traumas within ourselves, we are making our world a better place. And then in essence, we are making the rest of the world a better place. Does that make sense? So when it comes down to historical examples of generational traumas, as I said before, we can see like the dismantling of what our United States of America is being dismantled right there in front of our face, right? And we can see all of the family members, all of the things that they fought for, all the things that they worked for. We see them just being dismantled right there in front of our faces. And honestly, it's like we want to do something, but we don't know what to do. We have systems in place, but these systems are, convoluted with more systems that are overlooked and ran through. So we see all of these things happening. Now, when it comes down to our cultural and family dynamics, how they play a role in our trauma inheritance, as I was saying before, so challenged with this, how to find the link. Oh, no worries, baby. It's easy. Go to the link in our bio so you can click right here, right? On our profile, you'll see the link and it'll be Linktree. And then you click there and it's the very first thing. It should make sure I don't have the other thing up. Hold on. It should be, yeah, it's the very first thing. It says student registration, syllabus, classroom access. And everything will be sent once you fill out the registration. Everything will be sent to you um, in your email. Check your spam because that's what happens. Um, but where was I? And let me know if that works. I don't mind like going through it again. I have no problem with that at all. Um, yes. So the cultural and the family dynamics, how they play a role in your trauma inheritance, as I was saying before, a lot of times our family members are like an example. For me, I have a my grandfather used to both my grandfathers used to be drunks, right? And both of them used to do whatever they wanted because my grandmother would look at them, both grandmothers would look at them like, oh, that's just what men do, right? But the reality is that's not what just men do. It's not. It's not. It's not. What the reason why both of my grandfathers were drunks is because they were suppressing traumas and traumatic issues that they experienced in their lives because they didn't feel like there was a way for them to articulate their feelings. And what they did on my dad's side, what they did was he would bury his feelings in his liquor and taught my father not to express his feelings or to share with others how he felt, right? And I talk about this in the webinar as well, how this all plays a part. Now, when it comes down to my grandmother, my grandfather on my mother's side, he had suppressed feelings. He came from Mississippi. And because he came from Mississippi, there was a lot of stuff that happened to black men in Mississippi. If y'all know, right? And because of those things, my grandfather didn't have an outlet in order for him to express his feelings. And to when he would express his feelings, he could be set free. Good. I'm so glad he could be set free. And what ended up happening is those things were suppressed. And because those things were suppressed and he didn't want to deal with it, the reason why he didn't want to deal with it, it showed when he was drinking all the time, both grandfathers, right? And what ends up happening is those feelings are suppressed down into your loins, right? To the male sperm. When a man comes together, he got all these suppressed feelings that he didn't want to deal with. And then my grandmoms, both of them, were like, oh, don't worry about it. That's just how men act. So they're very dismissive and they didn't hold these men accountable to express their feelings, right? And so what ends up happening is they come together and they created my mama and my daddy, right? And so while my grandmothers were pregnant, right? While my grandmother was pregnant, when my mom's mom, I was actually in that process too. And I talk about this in the webinar. All of these things happen. So my grandmother on my mother's side was carrying three generations. She was carrying herself, she was carrying my mother, and she was also carrying me at the same time. All of these feelings, all of these experiences that my grandmother went through because she was a black woman living in the South, epigenetics, you got it. Because she was a black woman living in the South, all of those things that she went through, my mama went through, I went through too, genetically, right? And so when all of these things come together, you have my grandfathers, both of them, from my mom and my grandma, both of them were drunks because they were suppressing their feelings. And then my grandmothers were together because of the time. This is a historical issue, right? Because of the time in which my grandmothers lived in, if they went against the man at that time, they could lose everything. They could lose their home, they could lose their house, they couldn't even get a checking account, they would lose their money. So they had to accept whatever the man was giving to them because the man held the power. Even though he might have been a black man, he still held some form of power in some way. And so by them going against this man and holding him accountable at this time, what would happen is they would lose too much and it would be hard for them to gain access to livelihood. This is a form of the historical beliefs, right? And so this is a tradition that was passed on through historical beliefs. You have to accept the man for who he is, because if you don't accept the man for who he is and what he does, you can lose everything. That's how I was raised. But not only was I raised that way, it was embedded in my DNA because that's how my grandmother carried me and my mother. Does that make sense? And the suppression of a man not addressing his feelings was given to me, and the understanding of that was given to me from my grandfathers, right? So when I come into the world, I automatically assume that men won't express their feelings to me because that's the experience of my grandmother and my mother. Men don't have the capabilities to express their feelings when in actuality men do, but that has been the genetic belief that has been passed on, which creates a toxic environment, and it creates a toxic environment for a unhealthy relationship. That's an example of how generational traumas and how family dynamics plays a role in the trauma inheritance. Does that make sense? Because I lost a few people and I'm sorry. It's like I went on a tangent, but does that make sense? How it all kind of plays a part. And what ends up happening at the end of the day is innately, because it's already been in my program subconsciously, because at the time I had no idea what I was doing or dealing with. I'm going to end up finding someone just like my grandfather, just like my father, because that is what I'm naturally prone to do through epigenetics or through the trauma experience that has been passed on from my family based on their actions and the way that they carried and the way that they interacted with each other during the developmental stage of my brain. Okay? All right. Brides is with me. Let's go, Birdie. So, this is how generational trauma is created. Now, identifying these traumas, as I was pretty much explaining, identifying the traumatic patterns, like I just went through, I can see the dramatic patterns from my grandfather and my grandmother, and I can see how it applies to me as well. But the thing that is most important and the thing that is most understanding, which is more relevant, is the fact that I have taken the time to look at this, right? I've taken the time to view this for myself and to see this is the issue that I have within my family that I was brought up into. And there's no blame because they didn't know, right? There's no blame, but I do hold the responsibility to fix it. So my son, who's 4 years old, does not have to experience that. And I can honestly say that his person, the my son's co-creator, because that's what I call him, my son's co-creator is a reflection of both of my grandpas. That is a subconscious belief that I gravitated to unknowingly, right? Because it's being played in my subconscious in that 88%. Now that I am self-aware, right? Now that I am self-knowing, and now that I can actualize what I have done 4 years ago, and I could put it into place like, oh, snap. I subconsciously gravitated to a man. Well, I subconsciously gravitated to a man that is the exact replica in some ways of my grandfather's. And I did that subconsciously and created my son. So now that I understand that, it is now my responsibility to look at this situation and find ways to revert that kind of experience for my son. How do I change this option? How do I change the game for my baby? And it's the same process in which all of us have to go through when it comes down to generational trauma. Look at the situation, take it for what it is. TikTok is telling me I need to do that puzzle thing. Look at the situation, take it for what it is, address the situation, figure out ways that you can change it because you have the power to change things. That's your power. You can use that 12% to change that 88%. Like, you know what? I ain't got to do this in autopilot. I can stop this. Why did this happen? Why? Why? Right? And then by doing that, you're empowering yourself and empowering the next generations that come after you. Your generational trauma does not just affect your lineage, but it also affects the people that you love and care about. And if they're little people that you love and care about, it affects them too. Thank you so much for the share. Greatly appreciate it. Yeah. So we got the part 2. Small group. Okay, family patterns, shared experiences. So now that I expressed my family patterns and my shared experiences with my family, I would love for you guys, and I know TikTok has their moments where it's like you only put so much. Feel free, because this is where you're engaging and interacting. Feel free to share with me what it is that you have gone through within your family. What trauma or whatever, what traumatic experiences that you have seen that happen to your family that you are realizing, man, my parents did the same thing and I'm proud of myself doing it too. Hmm. Uh, Share with me your moment while you do that. Aw, thank you. Welcome to the subscribe tribe, baby. Hey, Atlanta goddess. And as we wait for you to participate, woo! Share, baby, because that's what we're here for. From wherever you want to start, it doesn't matter. The goal is for you to express yourself and to share that. Um, yep, to express yourself and to share that what you experienced and see how it's applicable to your life. For those who are still here, welcome in. Don't play with me. Come on, baby. Don't play with me. Please feel free to share your experience. I hope that I didn't go all over the place and lost you. And chosen one, feel free. Thank you guys for spending your time with me. I greatly appreciate it. What's good, Melly Mel? Parents crafted an interesting origin story for me. Okay, I'm here to listen. I am here to listen. I'm glad to see you too, Millie Mill. I was on vacation. Welcome to the tribe. I was on vacation. My hair's still on vacation. They don't know what to do. It's free and free flowing. Hey, Alisa. How are you? Welcome in. Hey, Tigo. Oh, thank you, TJ. TG. Thank you, TG Woo, for liking the live. Thank you, Alisa. Alyssa. Thank you for liking the live. Welcome in. As we are waiting for Birdie is awake. If you guys want to, feel free to change your comments. TikTok didn't like it. Thank you. It's full. It's definitely that. For those who are coming in, my name is NaKeesha. I'm your professor, and I am helping people break the chains in understanding and healing generational trauma. I am a certified theta healer. Pretty much, basically, I'm your belief worker, and I help you heal generational traumas through metaphysics. And what I've done is taken what I do for my actual job and turned it into an actual 6-week course. If you are interested, this is our very first day for our second round of 6-week courses. If you are interested in joining the class and getting your syllabus, just click on the link in our bio and go to student registration, fill out the student registration form, and um, in your email, it will be in your email. It will be probably in your spam. You'll get your syllabus with all of the information that you need. The actual course is completely free when we're on TikTok or YouTube. There's no cost. All you need to do is bring your pen and paper and let's go. If you are interested in going deeper, getting course materials, ebooks, past classroom discussions, participating in classroom discussions, um, having pop quizzes and graded work and curriculum and all that fun stuff, and a certificate when you are completely done. Feel free to click on there. There is a cost for that. It is $35. That takes you for about 12 weeks. The course is 6 weeks long, and once you're done with the course completely, we move on to our book club, which is also an extension of this course as well. So if you're interested, again, click the link in our bio and go to student registration. It's right there. All right. Now, Birdie is awake. She said, my bio father and his wife, after conceived outside of his marriage. Oh, yeah. Grew up between freedom families. Yeah. So let me ask you this question, Birdie. Um, do you struggle with self worth? Yeah. Yeah. What else? And do you always second guess yourself from time to time? More often than not. Mm-hmm. When you were born, did you get skin to skin, or was there some medical thing that happened to you when you were born that separated you from your mom? So, yeah. So, and I'm thinking I'm gonna give it to you straight, right? I'll give it to you plain. So, when you watch the webinar, because I saw on my thing that you had signed up for a class and you got the information. But when you watch the webinar, it's going to help make a little bit more sense for you. The reason why you had a lot of the medical issues, and do you feel detached from your mom? Like, do you love your mom, but you feel that there's like something that's missing? Like, it's just like there's no, you feel the connection, but there's not really a strong connection. Like, you wish there was more. Yeah. Okay. So, okay. Yep. All right. So I'm gonna break it down for you. It's not bad. All right. It's really, really kind of cool. I'm sorry for the happenings of what happened to you, but I'm so happy that you're here. I am right, Solomon. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm going in. I am. I'm gonna break it down. I'm gonna break it down, Solomon. This is Solomon. I love him. That's my bro. Um, but when it comes down to you, Birdie, let's talk about the makeup of who you are and how you came to be. Right, the feelings that you were dealing with before you even became who you are today, before you were even conceived. So, what happened to you, and this is your genetic trauma, just in general, right? Because it's all plays in essence of what we're talking about today. What is generational trauma? What ended up happening to you because of this discord that happened between your father and your mother, how your father had another life and was married to another woman, and then he had your mom on the side, and clearly it sounds like your mother had no idea that your father was married. So now you have this whole unblended situation, right? um this is gonna go deeper. Let me ask you a question. Okay, cool. As long as I'm on the right page. So let me ask you this question. Did your grandmother or either one of your grandmothers find themselves in this kind of situation? Were they either the wife of or the woman on the side? Because I'm trying to see if this is a pattern between your family. Because I don't want to make that kind of speculation if that's not a fact. And thank you so much for sharing. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So when we were talking about epigenetics, right? The pattern that was given to you. Hey, you sound just like my grandmother. Your grandmother and my grandmother could have been the same. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no judgment here. So thank you so much for sharing. Okay, so when it comes down to the generational patterns, what ended up happening, what it sounds like genetically, because this is a lot, hey, all nostalgia. This is all a reflection of the subconscious belief that your mother had gone through. Remember, okay, before I go into that, have you found yourself in that same kind of position or that same kind of predicament? Welcome to the tribe, all nostalgia. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna take you there. Okay, we ready? I'm gonna take you there. So in the webinar, when you get a chance to check it out, I'm gonna do this whole thing all over again, so you'll be prepared, right? When it comes down to epigenetics, what we talked about earlier, when your grandmother was pregnant with your grandmother was also pregnant with you. All of the things that your grandmother went through, those feelings, your mother felt them, and you innately felt them as well. Welcome to the tribe, Chevron. All three of y'all felt those feelings, right? What ended up happening is when your grandmother came out of the womb, when your mom came out of your grandmother's womb, those practices, the way she carried herself, the way that she felt about herself, those things were displayed to your mother. That's what happened. And your mother was like, cool, this is how normal, this is what normal looks like. This is what a normal relationship looks like. It sounds, based on your mom's reaction, was that she was trying to break away from whatever your grandmother was doing to have those four men with all of your aunts and uncles. That's what it sounds like, right? And what ended up happening is she found herself in the same situation as your mother, as her mom, your grandma. So when she had got pregnant with you, she was disappointed within herself. And it had nothing to do with you. It had everything to do with your mom and your dad and the dynamic of that. Hey, Jeffrey. And when she was pregnant with you, all of the disappointment, all of the failures, all of those things were embedded in her subconscious because now she's reliving her mom, your grandmother. And because she's reliving your grandmother and she's living your grandmother's life inadvertently, she's like, oh my God, how did I get here? All of those feelings were placed down inside of you. And if you were pregnant or if you had a girl child, those same feelings that your mom faced were given to you and also given to your girl child. So when it was time for you to pop out of your mom's womb, the same traditions that your grandmother showed and shared with your mom are the same traditions that your mom shared with you. So innately, you started to do those same patterns. And it wasn't something that she did subconsciously, it's the patterns. Like how she probably had self doubt within herself, how she double guessed herself. I was always double minded about the things that she did, how she didn't feel worthy of love. These are the things that were taught to you. So you live your life according to that. Like, oh, well, inadvertently, not knowing, oh, okay, well, mom doesn't love herself. And you never understood that, but you would see how she would be like, oh, I want this. No, I want that. Oh, I want this. Oh, I want that. These are the patterns that you watched while you were growing up. The same patterns that your mom watched while she was growing up. And probably the same patterns that your grandmother watched while she was growing up. So what ends up happening is not only are you seeing this with your own eyes 365 days until you're about 20 something years old before you left your mom's house. You're seeing this with your own eyes, but it's also a trigger with built inside of your DNA before you were even created. So you innately start to react the same way that your mother did. So when it came down to you having your child, or when it came down to your mother having you as a child, the disappointment was so hard on her because she was living the same life as your grandmother, that she was like, "Nah, I can't even deal with this kid because I have to look at this kid as a constant reminder of the mistake that I made because I was fighting so hard not to be like my mom." Which puts you in a weird position. One reason why you had health issues, because your mother was dealing with so much weight of those pains. Your mother was dealing with so much weight of that issue. This is gosh, what is it again? Let me find out. It's a specific trauma that is associated to pregnancy when a mother is carrying her child, right? And while your mother is carrying you as a child, this is a specific trauma that happens to you. It has a name. Um, Hold on, let me get it right here. It's an intergenerational transmission that has been given to you. It causes mental health conditions. Um, mhm, mhm, yeah, you are a reflection of your mother's mistake. Not calling you a mistake, right? But you are a reflection of the generational trauma that your mother tried to break. Mhm. Yeah. And that same feeling, right? Those same feelings were already given to your daughter in the womb when you were in your mom's womb. That feeling of discord, because I'm pretty sure your grandmother and your mom probably don't get along either. It sounds like it based on what you were saying in regards to her, like, oh, my mom had these many men and these many kids, right? And you have a bio mom and a bio dad. So were you adopted? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And because they fought, you fight. It's a generational trauma, but this generational trauma, from my standpoint, what I can see right now, based on what you're saying in the comments, because I don't know you, right? We just met, hey boo. It seems like it stems from that point when your mother felt the full disappointment that she was reenacting and reliving her mom's life. And she was fighting so hard to avoid that. That's what it sounds like to me. And because of that, it left a disdain for her. Her heart was broken. Let me ask you this. Does your mother have heart issues or high blood pressure? Or do you have heart issues or high blood pressure? High blood pressure under control. So did you have it? Mm-hmm. That stems from the belief of a broken heart. Everything, for the most part, when it comes down to health issues, for the most part, everything can be linked to a belief that's been passed on, right? Let me ask you another question. Does your mother or your grandmother have high blood pressure issues or the sugars, the bees? Mm-hmm. So it ran on your dad's side. Let me ask you this. Is infidelity a part? No problem. Okay. No problem with sugars. Got it. So let me ask you this. Is infidelity an issue that runs in your family on your dad's side? My whole family, Professor Ryan. Ooh. Okay, so don't play with me, 741. When it comes down to your family, let's talk about your family. Do you mind sharing with me your family's story? Is it similar to, yeah. Is it similar to Birdie is Awake? And if not, feel free to share and we can kind of dive in to find out how the generational trauma affects you as well. Um, so infidel, not really. Go ahead, please share. This is a place for you guys to share. We're in the last part of the class, so this is all open discussion. Um, so your whole family on your so wait, for Birdie is Awake, your family deals on your dad's side deals with infidelity issues. That is the side that deals with high blood pressure. So if that's the case, then somewhere along the way, 9 times out of 10, their heart got broken. And that same broken heart has been played with throughout your entire family. This might be the cause of why your father had infidelity issues, not only because it was practiced amongst him, right, within his life, and he saw this happening in his life. All the men, dad, okay, yeah, mm-hmm, yep, yep, yep. And that's their way of suppressing. Like sometimes people, especially when it comes down to men. So again, when you check out the webinar, you'll see me do this and then do this. A lot of women, yeah. So when it comes down to men, a lot of times they use things, people, places, or things to suppress their emotions, right? Women, a lot of women, right, are a reflection of them suppressing their emotions. And somewhere along the way, if your dad and your 5 brothers, all of the men have some type of high blood pressure issue, this may be something that is associated to your grandfather. Um, Let me ask you this. Do you know the story of your grandfather on your father's side? And when it comes down to don't play with me, don't play with me. 741. My mother and father broke up while she was pregnant with me, 2 older sisters by him as well. Why did your parents break up? I am doing fine, and yes, I love my vacation. My vacation was fabulous. I probably will be heading towards your way soon, Miss Atlanta Goddess. That's the plan. We'll be in ATL. Is this helping? All my aunts have help, okay, as well on my father's side and my family side. Ooh, ooh. Okay, so you said all of my aunts have high blood pressure. It's deeper than the infidelity because the infidelity, again, is just a reflection of what, an output of what has happened to someone in your family. The infidelity could be a pattern that your family has learned from the men and the aunts of your father's side, a pattern that they learned from throughout their lifetime, and they don't know how to break it. Why they broke up, I mean. Oh, your parents. Okay. Okay. I'm going to need an assistant. More than likely, I will. But it's cool. I'm used to doing this. This is what I do. Solo Man pops in because he knows this is what I do. He's like, break it down. So this is what I do. So we're good. All right. So you think it was infidelity when it comes down to your mom and your dad? Okay, I have a question for you then. Don't play with me. 741. When it comes down to that, the infidelity, is infidelity something that happens within your family? Or was your parents the very first one that dealt with infidelity? Did I ask you that already? Let me see. No, I asked birds awake. Okay, now, uh, birds awake. No, didn't know much about dad's dad except that he was named after Bookie. No, 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 no. That question wasn't for you. That was for don't play with me. Because I already asked you that question. Now I'm back to you. I'm back to you. So you don't know much about your grandfather. I'm curious. Birds is awake. Okay. See, and this is where your family, for both of you, this is the reason why it's good to know your genealogy if you can know it, right? This is what forces you to go back to your aunts and your uncles and ask questions like, "Yo, what happened to Pawpaw back in the day?" Mm-hmm. I was just about to get to that. So, and this is the whole purpose. This is what I was talking about earlier in class. How what happens is a lot of our family members, they like to sweep things underneath the rug. But what they don't realize is their actions and their patterns and the way that they speak, the way that they talk creates these same generational traumas, even though they're trying to avoid them, right? They're doing everything in their power to avoid having these generational traumas. They're doing everything in their power not to talk about it, because if you don't talk about it, then it doesn't happen. But what they don't realize is that their actions are still speaking. Children don't know, and we all know that when it comes down to communication is nonverbal, roughly about 55%. So if they're not saying anything, they're still saying stuff. And as children, when we were children, we picked up on all of those things inadvertently. We might not have been able to articulate where it came from or what it meant, but we understood that there was a problem. And we didn't know how to ask the right questions, like, why are you acting like that? Why are you acting so weird? Why are you acting so weird? Why are you acting so weird? Right? And what ends up happening is we make this a part of our day-to-day idea. This becomes part of our day-to-day patterns. And so now we are looking at things when it comes down to our generational trauma. We are looking at the output, right? When you were saying, don't play with me, 741, and you were saying that most of your people on your dad's side, if I remember right, all dealt with heart attacks, right? And now I'm asking you what happened to your grandfather, and you're like, I don't know. I don't know what happened to my grandfather. And he may be the missing key and the missing element. And in the same place, you're saying at the same time, like, yo, but my family, they real hush hush. No, 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 no. We need them to start talking, right? I always tell people about this story. My granddad died of cancer. What kind of cancer? Because that's also tied to a belief too. Was it prostate cancer? Your grandma, what kind of cancer? Because even with cancer, right? The big zodiac signs say cancer. Even when it comes down to cancer, these things have belief systems that are associated to them as well. So I'm curious of what kind of cancer did both of your grandparents have? Because what ends up happening, let me just make it simple. If you don't know, it's cool. But I can just go by the overall general statistics of things. When it comes down to zodiac sign, no, I did not see your response. All I see is my granddad passed away from cancer, and my grandmother too. I just see this response. Hey, Sage, welcome in. Is this helping you, Birdie? Is it awake? Welcome in. I don't know if you're responding again. Don't play with me. Oh, you just joined back in. Okay. I know you'll post it again, and let me know when you post it again so I can make sure I look at it. But when it comes down to breast zodiac, when it comes down to breast zodiac sign cancer, so I gotta say it like that. When it comes to the BC, a lot of times the belief that is associated to breast cancer, it really is. I have too much life. Don't like to hit folks with too much. Girl, it's all good. That's what I'm here for. Like seriously, it's what I'm here for. I don't mind because if it's setting you free and if it's helping you understand where you are and how your life is affected on your day to day basis, and it's giving you some type of knowledge of like, oh snap, let me look at it from a different point of view. Then hey, I'm doing exactly what I'm called to do. Let me break this down for y'all real quick, and then we're gonna go back to breast cancer and prostate cancer. Those two. I almost died last year, February 5th, on the operating table. I had a large hernia. My large intestine was coming out, and it took 2.5 years for them to fix it. And in that process, I went through a lot of mental constraints because I had also lost my mother prior to that. So it was a lot, and I was a new mom at the same time. So all these things are happening. Great fun, yeah. mental stress to the max. And so on February 2nd, I actually was getting my hernia fixed, right? But before they even cut me, I almost passed away on the operating table. So when I came back to life, I found that this has been and will always be my passion to help people. Hold on. I think my son did something. So when it comes down to breast cancer, zodiac sign breast cancer, because I have to do this, thank y'all. I have to do this for TikTok because they will shut me down. Like, what are you talking about? Um, when it comes down to breast cancer, zodiac sign, um, a lot of times it depends on how your mother was raised or your grandmother was raised. A lot of times that is associated to the act of sex, SMEX. Sorry, TikTok. The act of SMEX. Um, During that time, for a lot of our grandmothers, if your grandmother was born between the years of 1900, any time up to 1920, roughly, 1940, 1970, right? So if your grandmother was born between the beginning of time to 1970, because that's when the feminine movement was full effect in the United States, women were taught that SMEX was a part of their duty, their wifely duty. It was an obligation. This is how women were taught. It was an obligation for them to have sex with their husband. They were used as objects. They were also taught that if they keep their legs open, they were considered to be a whore, right? Name calling, full bigotry when it comes down to the overall objective of a woman, right? And these belief systems are taught because I know I was taught that way as a child. Those feelings are taught and embedded in the subconscious part of your brain. So when you get to the point where it's time for you to, and you are of age and you make the conscious decision to have SMEX, right? And before you actually get out and start having SMEX, you may feel this guilt. You may start feeling this guilt and shame if you have SMEX outside of marriage, right? Because that's what's been embedded inside of you. And then once you get married, you may feel guilt and shame if you choose not to have SMEX for that night with your husband or your wife or whoever you choose to be with, right? It's not it's interchangeable. Doesn't matter your sexual orientation. All of this is interchangeable. Hey, Alexandria, all of these things are interchangeable, right? So if you made the decision to have sex with your spouse or your significant other and you feel guilt and shame associated to having sex with that person, that is one of the beliefs that is associated to breast cancer zodiac sign. That's a belief. That belief is also caused by generational trauma. And that generational trauma wasn't technically given to you by your family members, hey Sharita, but that generational, oh yay, that generational trauma could have been given to you from the church. Because that's a belief that has been passed on from family members to family members to family members, indoctrinated from the church. And because of that, what ends up happening is that belief system, again, as I stated before, when you watch the webinar, that belief system is embedded inside of you from your grandma. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, embedded inside of you from your grandma and the historical beliefs before your grandmother, right? Embedded inside every cell of your body, given to your grandmother, passed on from your grandmother, given to your mom, and now given to you. So if you notice that one of your family members as a woman has had breast zodiac sign cancer, it might have been associated to that belief system. For my generation, 1967, not having a man or being married was a shame. Yes. Yep. Same thing. I was born in 1980, so I'm 44, about to be 45, right? And my mama, I mean, if my grandmother and my mom was alive today, they would both be telling me right now, you need to have a man in your life. I ain't never been married. I desire to be married, I think. Still not sure about that yet. But I desire to have companionship for sure. But it doesn't make or break me, right? And because of that thought process, I'm just saying, I'm not, I mean, not really sure. But because of that thought process, right? It's kind of like that doesn't make sense. And it doesn't make sense for me in this position as of today because I don't live in a world where my life is dependent 1000% on a man, right? I know you do. And your worth is determined by it, even in the church. And that's the generational trauma, right? Generational trauma can be given to you from outside entities, which are the church, right? And that's a whole nother thing that I've been diving into on my own when I'm not your professor, right? So you have the outside entities that are the church, which influences your grandmoms and your granddads, which influences your moms and your dads, which influences you too. Because of these are the traditions, these are the historical traditions that have been passed down to you as a person. And a lot of times, even though your family might have broken away from the church, those same traditions are still given to you. The idea of you as a woman or a XX chromosome individual not being in a position where you can be free to be smexual, fully smexual, and enjoy the pleasures of being smexual. Thank you so much for the gifts. Enjoying the full pleasures of being smexual. It's a taboo, especially in the church community. Like, how dare you, as a woman, to open up your legs? That is a place where you're supposed to procreate and you have children out of that area. And then the man comes in and he's like consummating you, and you guys are now married, and now you have all of your soul ties. Right? It's a taboo. It's a taboo for a woman to fully be sexually free. It's taboo, right? But it also causes a generational trauma because now you put guilt and shame to something that is natural, something that is naturally pleasurable, right? And like me and my friend, we were talking about it overseas. Smex is not a big deal. You can be 14, 13, 12, whatever. That's consensual age. But you don't see a lot of people out there on the other side of the world, having, children out of wedlock. Oh my God, you have a child out of wedlock, because it's not a taboo. It happens. It's life, right? And so, because here in America, we put so many constraints and these rules and these, unnecessary ties on these natural things that happen to us, what ends up happening, we end up being infected with an infestation that was created because of the way our society was created as a whole, right? So, also with breast cancer, the belief that is associated with that as well is not being married to your husband, but not being married to your husband. So if you have like the divorce decree, the divorce happened, right? But you still have the anger and the rage of being married still. He's still my husband. Or you decide that you're going to marry Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Not joking, not, hey, that's where you want to lie and be connected to, that's fine. No judgment. No judgment. But if you decide on being married to Jesus and you decide on being married to God, creator, source, whoever you subscribe to, or you decide on being married to a man that you are no longer married to, that is also associated, the belief that is associated to breast zodiac sign Cancer. Okay? These are all the beliefs that are connected to those things. And so my hope is within these next 6 weeks is to allow us to look into these things. My desire is to look into these things and dismantle these things so it makes it easier for you to talk about. I hate to bring that up, but that's when we become quiet and scared, unable to speak. Yeah, you have to talk, right? Talking makes things better. Going to your therapist. I have a therapist. I mean, I help people with their generational trauma, but mine is crazy. I just told you guys what happened to me. You know what I'm saying? I almost passed away. I was a brand new mom. You know what I'm saying? I lost my mom at the same time. So, we're all a little batch crazy in our head. Just a little bit. That's what makes us human, right? And by being able to express ourselves and to share our craziness, we realize that we're not so crazy. It's part of life, right? When it comes down to prostate cancer, if you have a husband, right, or a significant other that has prostate cancer, you might need to move around. Okay, you may be the problem. You might be the villain. You might be the villain to your boo's prostate cancer. The belief that is associated. Sorry for your loss. Congratulations, Bobby. Thanks. He's 4 now. We're getting through that. Every day is a day. And it gets better. It gets better. Oh yeah, it gets better. When it comes down to prostate cancer, guess what? You prostate zodiac sign cancer. TikTok. You as the significant other may be the issue. They want to get rid of you, but they don't know how. And they know that if they try to get rid of you, the reality is that they probably gonna pay a whole lot more money, so it's better to keep you. And so because that thought process is that, right? A lot of times, and they will never admit to it, but a lot of times, this is the reason why prostate zodiac sign cancer is effective to them. Welcome to the tribe, Grow Lord. Welcome in. That's the issue, right? When it comes down to zodiac sign prostate cancer, um, your man want to get rid of you, but it's cheaper to keep her, right? And that's not always the case, but I'd say about 9 times out of 10. So when it comes down to you, don't play with me. 741. Your grandparents probably didn't get along, but they couldn't stand each other, but they couldn't let go of each other. And because that toxicity might have been between the two of them, both of them ended up having cancer. Zodiac sign. Not trying to make light of it, but that's just my own outtake of that. Lung cancer. That's a different one. Let me see. I gotta go get my book. That's downstairs. Did you sign up for the class? Don't play with me, 741. If not, it's cool. I'll look into lung cancer. If you give me like 3 minutes, I'm gonna go downstairs and get my book. Like 3 minutes, I'm gonna go downstairs and get my book. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, give me like 3 minutes. I'm gonna go downstairs get my book, and I can tell you. All right, cool. Um, I'm gonna let the people who need to come into the classroom in first. Shanita, that one person who requested. Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm gonna go get my book, and we can go through the lung history, the lung. Okay, now let's get into it. All right, can y'all hear me? Okay. Thank y'all for rocking with me. Okay, awesome. All right, so when it comes down to lung cancer, zodiac sign cancer, the beliefs associated to lung cancer, zodiac sign. Oh, 39. What you chewing on? So when it comes down to don't play with me, I think you were saying that your grandfather was the one who was dealing with it. It seems one of the beliefs that is associated to lung cancer is lung zodiac sign cancer. Is the inability to forgive yourself. Um, and of course, it comes with the tobacco, right? Outside factors always play a part. But again, as I stated earlier, what ends up happening is there's outside or external factors that are used to suppress feelings, right? And so your grandfather's external way of suppression is through smoking, and that also affects his lungs. But he was trying to subside something within him. It could also be that he was unable to express his feelings or emotions. I mean, I know for certain, like when it comes down to my father, he had not lung cancer, but he did have cancer. But he was an avid smoker for years since he was 14 years old. And there are a lot of things that were done to him at 14 that he couldn't express to people. And so he picked up smoking and it became a habit of his. And what is so interesting is when people finally address those issues, those subconscious beliefs and or those core beliefs that have been affecting them, those habits no longer exist because they don't need it as a coping mechanism. And a lot of times, especially when it comes down to like 420, right? Alcoholism, all of these things are suppressions, forms of suppression. One of the ladies who did actually get a one-on-one session with me, because that's what I do offer, where I help people remove the belief systems that are embedded in their subconscious minds. She just recently told me that she has no need for alcohol anymore. There's no need for it. And the reason why she's in this space, and I was explaining to her when I did her follow up, is because those things that were holding her back no longer exist. So she doesn't need the alcohol as her coping mechanism. There's nothing that she needs to cope with, right? And we're going to dive in deeper. I think that's part of week 3 when we talk about coping mechanisms that kind of help you cope with the traumas of your family. But yeah, oh yeah. Many people say that. My cousin calls me the Jesus miracle worker because I be performing Jesus miracles, but it's fun. It's what I do. It really is. It's a lot of fun. I love what I do, and I love to see the outcomes of people and what they deal with. That part, there's no other way. We got to do it. And again, like I stated before, when I almost passed away, that was like my call to action. Like, okay, I'm here on this earth for a purpose, and what is my purpose? Mm-hmm. Wow, 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 wow. That is my purpose, and because that is no other way. Mm-hmm. 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 And so, because this is my purpose, and I know what my purpose is now, I have created different ways and different avenues for people to get what they need in order for them to be the best version of themselves and to enjoy this life and have it more abundantly. That's what we are called to do as human beings in general. Doesn't matter your sexual orientation, your race, your ethnicity. You as a human being have that power to walk within yourself and to be proud of who you are without the constraints and the things that have held you and your family bound for generations. So that's actually what I do. And I use, as I stated before, I use teaching as a form to help guide you. So one, you can get a chance to know me a little bit better as a person, right? where I'm giving you guys the source. But I also, I am going to be offering my services to you guys as my students, but that comes later on, right? We have to get you to the point where you can see your own generational trauma and you can understand where it came from in order for you to start working on your own portion or your factor in healing yourself. So when it comes down to what I have to offer, it makes it a lot easier for you and it makes it a whole lot easier for me because you understand why it's important to do so. And you understand why it's important for you to move forward. Even though you innately know that, right? Because you wouldn't be here today, but you'll have more found, more rooted understanding like, oh, snap, yeah, let's go and knock this out, right? So, yeah. Any other questions? Any other questions? You guys got any more concerns, or you have another disease that you want to look into and find out what the belief systems may be associated to? I'm here for it. And again, like I stated, if you guys are interested in joining the class next week will be on YouTube. So make sure you follow your syllabus. Um, and if you have nothing else, then we sit back and chill. You got any questions for me? Feel free to ask me any questions. If you want to get to know me as a person or, what I do as far as work or as your professor, feel free to put them in the comments. But that's pretty much the end of the class. Class lasts about an hour, hour and a half. So we're going to cut. Keisha, this is where class cuts. And this replay will be in the classroom. Week 1. Y'all did it. Y'all did it. Let's get it. Let's get it. You're more than welcome, Siobhan. You are more than welcome. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. I promise you, I'm here. I'm not. My son is somewhere. I don't know where he's at, so I'm free. I'm free. I'm free now. Was this helpful? Did this help break down some of the ideas that you might have been holding on to? Does this release you from some of the things that have been holding you down? Yes. Yes. So if you check, and we can do this right now, bird's eye. Birdie is awake. Check your spam. Good. Check your spam and see, or check your email and see if you got an email from Professor NaKeesha, NaKeesha. And down at the very bottom of that email, it gives you the instructions. It's the syllabus, your actual syllabus. So it'll give you the course outline for the syllabus. And then at the bottom, it'll tell you enter class. Okay, cool. Enter class here. And then it'll ask you to purchase the $35 for the course. Yeah. Here on this class, when we are live, it is 100% free. Your gifts, your interactions, thank you so much for the gifts, your interactions, um, you sharing the live, all helps helps within my pot every Tuesday. Yes, at this time. Yep, every single Tuesday. It helps towards, what I do. I understand the beautiful idea that Human Talk has when it comes down to teaching. But I can tell you that I taught 75,000 people in September, October, November, and December. I taught roughly about 75,000 people. And a lot of people don't gift like they used to. A lot of people don't gift that much, but they'll sit there and listen, which is great. It's wonderful, but it doesn't help. So that's the reason why I offer the course materials, because one, it helps us stay connected, you and me. It gives you full access to who I am as your professor. It gives you guided materials, which is awesome. And it gives you all the things that you may need in order for you to fully understand and to help you heal your own personal generational trauma. So, yeah, every Tuesday. So buying the course materials, it's helpful. Thank you so much. I like that. That's cute. Thank you. Buying your course materials helps what would I do? Because this is my job. And I'm so thankful that Human Talk is available for us to, go into what we've already been doing prior to the Human Talk trend. um, I love it. Um, so for those who have any questions, if you don't have any more questions, I'm going to end the live. If you have more questions, please put them in the comments. If not, I'm going to end the live and we will see you guys back here on Thursday. Class through Human Talk is every Tuesday. Next week it will be on YouTube. So go to the link in our bio, click on our YouTube page, and you can, because I need the capabilities to share my screen. But go to our YouTube page, like that, and you can see some of the outtakes from the classes. And if you are in this class and you have registered for this class in our classroom, I will be uploading this class and you should see it by Thursday in the classroom. So if you missed anything, it's okay. Just click inside the classroom, join in, and join the courses, enjoy the fun. Next week, we're going to talk about uh, next week, we're going to dive in even more. So, we're going to talk about the science, you two. We're going to talk about the science behind generational trauma. Make sure you check out the webinar. Your first assignment is the webinar this week. You also have a pop quiz today that is due by the end of this week, also found within our classroom. And y'all, let's get this generational situation under control so you can start living your life and to have it more abundantly. So, with that being said, I'm your professor, NaKeesha. Have a wonderful night. I hope you guys enjoy the webinar. I hope you guys enjoy all the things that I have put into this course. I have put not my heart and soul, but my soul is in this to help you heal and to help you be the best version of yourself. Talk to you guys on Thursday if you want to see me in action as my belief worker, my actual job. But if you are interested in joining us in our class, see you guys on Tuesday on YouTube. Deuces.